Sometimes people don't understand what we do. They see the military style garb, they see the weapons, and they've been conditioned to be fearful of that.
These are good folks out here, and they're just being good American citizens. You wouldn't be afraid of, a Boy Scout troop or anything else. It's the same thing, except that we have bigger guns than they do.
And a lot of these guys are really just concerned about the direction of their country and out here trying to be prepared in case something happens.
I joined 5 years ago because I felt a need to just prepare for, 9/11 had happened not that long before. There were other attacks going on in other nations. And if something happened to disrupt my way of life, what would I need to be prepared? Food, water, medication, shelter, clothing, defense. Well, everything I went to focused on those 5, but never talked about defense. Who could I get a hold of that would be able to coach me on what weapons work best for various situations? Well, then I remembered everything I learned in the media about the Michigan militia.
I was an Army veteran, and I became interested in the militia because I'm a veteran of the military, and I thought I could put that training to good use, helping my fellow citizens learn how to better be prepared.
We've got members that are really gung-ho here every event. We've got people that float in and out depending on what else is going on in their lives at the moment. We're all family people, so that has to come into account. But through events, we'll have anywhere from a dozen, 20, and sometimes in upwards of 60 members that are participating at any one given time. We're neighbors, we're parents, we're business owners, we're everybody else in the neighborhood. We're just willing to step up and help out the neighbors when it's needed.
Just from what I have seen, the biggest issue is how militia groups have been overgeneralized to other groups on sort of the right wing end of the spectrum. They're different from racist groups. They're different from a lot of other patriot groups. And there's a lot of variation even within state militias in terms of, one group in the Southeast might be a little more politicized or slightly more conspiracy theory leaning than other groups. And I think that it's important to remember that overgeneralization is a bad thing for understanding how these groups operate and what they're all about.
We welcome anybody as long as you're prepared to defend the Constitution. I don't care, and I really don't pay attention to people's race. I'd like more people to come out, period, regardless of what color they are. It's just not something I care about. I wish there were more people of different races out here. I wish there were just more people out here. So it's not something we focus on. We don't care. Besides, if you're all like this, you can't see anybody's skin color anyway. So that's what we want to see: more camouflage people.
The militia group itself is rather non-political. Every person here has their own feelings, their own things. We probably do tend to lean more to the right. Socially, I'm probably more libertarian aligned because socially I'm very liberal. And even down to different topics. Had a discussion recently about gay marriage. I don't think that the government is in the position to rule on gay marriage. I don't think I should have to ask the government's permission for myself to get married. So if you just get the government out of that altogether, the only benefits are tax, business, and other laws. Get those out of the way, let the people do what's natural. Everybody will be happy. We've done various things that, not as a whole unit per se, because the Michigan militia, as it was originally structured, is statewide. We are an offshoot of a particular county unit. And things we have done is various civic activities, cemetery cleanups. We've assisted after tornadoes. When we had the power outage in the Northeast here back like 5-6 years ago already. Each individual member, as part for the course, I guess, we keep food and water on hand. So we were able to assist our neighbors. We were able to make sure that our neighborhoods were safe and self-sufficient, so that the authorities were free to focus elsewhere if they needed to.
So you are with the Border Patrol?
USBorderGuard.com. We're totally privately funded.
Oh, really? I thought you were, the badge looked like it was, you were part of the government or something.
Well, all citizens are part of the government.
I understand.
They work for us.
No, I understand. Yeah, they're the public servants. These are the public servants right here. Public servants, the people. Public servants, people. And so your organization is called what?
USBorderGuard.com.
Okay, and can you Can you tell me your name, or is that, or your handle or something? Or
You know what? I'm the patrol leader of it.
okay. Well, I'm Morpheus. So what's your handle?
JT.
JT. Cool.
Yeah.
And so, what is your
Main stance today?
Yes. Yes.
Well, we're exercising our Second Amendment right.
I love
so
it.
that everybody can have a First Amendment right. So what we want to drive home today is that regardless of different beliefs, that the moment we give up our Second Amendment right, that's when tyrants can come in. That's when the big boys with guns can sweep through and take anybody's rights away.
Right.
So that's why we're standing out here today. That's our primary focus. The secondary focus is that there's 60,000 dead in northern Mexico from guns that our government provided, from training to the Los Zetas from our government, which also includes Los Zetas. So why is that? So we're calling attention to that as well. We're having Americans killed and Mexicans killed. We really should be working with our neighbors, not against them.
Right.
So that's our second focus, because that's what we do every day.
Okay.
But our main focus out here is because we want to exercise those rights.
Right, and we have to be protected against the public servants.
That's why we're facing this way, except for we got security guys that
right. I love it. I think this is awesome, man. You guys really rock, man.
We put our back to everybody back here because we're trusting everybody behind us to be peaceful. Doesn't matter if we agree or disagree.
Right.
That's what our rights are about.
So
we're not Wall Street bankers. Let's put it that way.
What? Are you prepared to do anything here today?
That's what we're trained for.
Okay.
So everybody out here is part of a squad that's fully trained to use justified use of deadly force. That's important to know. We're not cowboys out here causing a problem.
I understand.
As you can see, it's all peaceful.
Yes, exactly,
and
but you never know.
We want to demonstrate to other folks, too, that you can do this peacefully, and that the more people that do it, the more you exercise that First Amendment, you add teeth to it with the Second Amendment, that'll keep the government from ever taking away our First Amendment rights.
Right. So are you familiar with Oath Keepers and Stuart Rhodes?
We've met some of those folks, yeah.
Okay. And do you have any feelings about the...
I think it's part of the First and Second Amendment, too, and veterans. I'm a veteran. He's a Vietnam veteran. We got several veterans out here.
Okay, well, I just invite you to check out the Oath Keepers.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, oathkeepers.org.
I've met some of the guys.
Stuart Rhodes is a good friend of mine.
Yeah, I'll be glad to check it out.
Yeah, it's about making sure these guys here know that they taken an oath to the Constitution and not to
foreign and domestic. That's what I swore into.
Right.
And you know, another thing that I remind veterans of every day was that when we took that oath, it was for life. It didn't say 5 years after you get out, 10 years after you get out, you burn the Constitution. No, that's a lifetime commitment.
Right.
Whether you're a civilian now or not.
Okay. Well, here, I'm going to give you something. I don't normally give anything away, but I'm going to give you a Constitution. It's got a Constitution, Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and a Citizen's Rule Book.
Okay.
It talks about jury nullification in there.
Okay.
You're familiar with jury nullification?
FIJA, yep.
Yeah, so that's what that's...
Well acquainted on constitutional issues.
Yeah, so that might be...
Yeah, if it's mine?
Yeah, no, I'm giving that's to you.
Thank you.
And this was actually, there's an organization I'd like to share with you, I think it's on the inside, JT. It's called the Republic of Arizona.
Okay.
And I'm part of the Republic. We have restored the Republic according to
We're not a democracy. And that's the thing people have to understand, because if you got a good speaker out here that could vote away all of our rights, they could trick the people like they did in Greece.
And money. Because these things right here, this is all counterfeit money.
It's fiat money.
This is counterfeit.
Fiat.
See, well, yeah, but check it out. See, that says $1. Right, but let me show you a real dollar.
Silver certificate?
Well, I got that too, but yeah, I have one here. Whoops, see if I can get it. You see what it says on the bottom?
$1.
Yeah, but on the very bottom, right there, at the very bottom, what does that say?
Payable banker on demand.
In silver. In silver. This law, it's Coinage Act of 1792 that said that all debts are what defined what a dollar is, and a dollar is 371.25 grains of silver, and that law has never been repealed.
That's an actual piece of silver right there. It's not backed up by that.
Which one is it? Silver. Here, there you go. American Precious Metals Exchange.
Real silver.
Yeah. Here you go. This is one from Morgan.
There you go.
This is 371.25 grains of silver.
And that's why we tell people that this is all a sham going on.
Right. It's all
taking away our freedoms.
They've hijacked the money. I mean, I've just proven to you that the money that they are passing out is fraud. It's fraud. It's counterfeit. This is counterfeit.
We would go to jail for doing the same.
This is counterfeit. The dollar that I showed you that had the silver certificate, that's saying, hey, you can take this piece of paper and exchange it for something of value, which is silver.
Well, and that's why they had the Fast and Furious, was to take away our rights, so they could say that private weapons were falling in the hands of cartel, which was untrue. They're the ones that were giving it to them.
So do you have an opinion on what needs to be done as a result of that?
They need to be held accountable for high treason.
Treason,
and the punishment's already set forth. I don't need to say it.
Right.
It's already on the books.
Right, I know.
And if people committed treason and were tried by a jury of our peers, were properly punished the way the law says, I don't think you'd have too much treason after that.
Right. It would end the problem.
Absolutely. And it seems like a harsh measure, but it's not. It's
well, if you're in the government, you need to be held to an even higher standard.
No, absolutely. And that's the other thing. Like you said, they do work for us.
Right.
That's what people have failed to realize. You know, it's like I told the guys when we come down here, we're not asking permission to be here.
Right.
We are here. That's
right. We don't need permission.
We don't ask it. Usually, if people are carefully listening to their rights, it's always a suggestion. Do you mind if I search your car?
Right.
Well, we would like you guys to take your guns back to the car. Well, I appreciate that, but we're going to go ahead and exercise our rights. And here we are. We're proving it. And if we can prove this today, then other people can replicate that. That's how we'll stay free.
Got it.
Regardless of your beliefs.
Excellent.
Good to go, man.
Pound it.
Cool.
Boom. Thank you very much, man.
Locked on, man. Contact us on that website, and then we'll definitely do some more interviews, and we'll research some of those organizations.
Yeah. You guys are here in Phoenix, I guess?
We're across the country.
But I mean, are you from Phoenix?
We have some people up here. It's mainly Pinell County, but we have some people up here too.
Okay, but so your home is not is your home Arizona?
Arizona. Yes.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Well, JT, man, I really appreciate it.
And we support everybody back here, their rights. That's what it's about.
Right.
And a lot of people who preach tolerance and diversity are some of the most hateful ones. We don't even pay attention to that. We say you have the right to disagree. That's what it's about.
Cool. Awesome. Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you.
The shock value shows just how far we've allowed our rights to be taken away.
Right. Excuse me. No, can I just back up just a little bit more? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, every one of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. This is what we need. This is exactly what we need. Right. Exactly. This is exactly what need to have. Protect yourself against government tyranny. Get your V mask. The government is at war with you. The government has declared war against you. Protect yourself against a criminal organization. The government is a criminal organization.
And let's harass you a little bit.
Government is a criminal organization. Can I go through? Yeah. Thank you. Government is a criminal organization.
Police are continuing to try to sort out a mass shooting, what appears to be a multiple victim homicide and suicide with ties to a very dark side of American politics. Police say they believe that the shooter is this man, J.T. Reddy, one of the country's most visible neo-Nazis and most vocal anti-immigrant provocateurs. Police investigators say they are working from the theory that Mr. Reddy put on body armor. He entered the home in Gilbert where he lived. He killed his girlfriend's adult daughter, the daughter's boyfriend, and the daughter's 16-month-old infant child before turning the gun on himself and committing suicide.
The first call came in at 1:08 that tragic afternoon. It was made by Lisa Medeiros, the girlfriend of J.T. Reddy.
I need a police officer to be come to 530 West Tumbleweed Road.
What's the address?
530 West Tumbleweed Road.
What's the street name one more time, ma'am?
Tumbleweed.
Tumbleweed? 520 West Tumbleweed Road in Gilbert?
Yes.
Okay. What do you need assistance with, ma'am?
Domestic violence. He's going ballistic in the house and he's ruined the freaking garage door, and I want...
And who is he, your husband? Are you speaking about your husband, ma'am?
That boyfriend.
What is it that he's doing? What is it he's doing, ma'am?
Oh, my God! He's right.
You ought to read The Fourth Reich of the Rich to see how a lot of this ties together. John D. Rockefeller was very influential in using his money to ensure that the American school system became communistic, humanistic. Okay? Now listen, folks, I love my country, but I fear my government. And you better too. Here are the communist rules for revolution. Rule number 1, corrupt the young, get them away from religion. Rule number 2, break down the moral virtues. Rule number 3, encourage a soft government attitude toward crime. Number 4, divide the people into hostile groups. Number 5, get the people's minds off their government. Focus their attention on athletics or sex. Did you know in 1896 there were only 311 athletes in the Olympics? 100 years later, there were 13,000 athletes in the Olympics. How many channels on TV now are devoted to athletics? How much money is spent in America on sports? If you consider all things involved, transportation to and from, buying the property, building the buildings, folks, it's many, many, many billions and billions of dollars. So somebody can knock a ball into a hole in the dirt. Athletics has taken over our thinking process. Here's an advertisement for a 50-inch TV. It says, football is a religion. Build a nice church. Rule number 6, get control of all the media, like CNN, the Communist News Network. Rockefeller, international billionaire, humanist, CFR kingpin, and founder of the Trilateralist Commission, world order godfather, and in all probability the high school graduate voted most likely to be hanged for treason, voiced his praise of the controlled U.S. media for keeping their oath not to divulge the globalist plans to the public. Speaking to his fellow conspirators at a meeting in 1991 in Baden, Germany, one of the more infamous world order group, the Bilderbergers, Rockefeller said, "We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. In other words, they're having these meetings to determine world events. The news media is there, but they don't report to us what really goes on in those meetings. Because the average person shouldn't know what these guys are planning. They're making plans for a one-world government." He went on to explain, "It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subjected to the lights of publicity during those years. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march toward a world government. The supranational, that means above the national sovereignty, of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely more preferable to the national autodeterminism practiced in past centuries." Richard Cohen of CBS said, "We are going to impose our agenda on the coverage by dealing with issues and subjects we choose to deal with." Remember when O.J. Simpson was on the news for almost a year? This was done intentionally to divert our attention away from the fact with what was happening with China being given the port in Los Angeles. Chinagate was going on. They didn't want us to know about that, so they focused our attention on O.J. Simpson. Somebody said he's getting married again. He wants to take another stab at it. Richard Salent, the former president of CBS News, said, "Our job is to give the people not what they want, but what we decide they ought to have." New York Times is deliberately pitched to the liberal, read that, socialist, point of view. Said the foreign editor of the New York Times, he ought to know. News reporters are certainly liberal and left of center. Walter Cronkite's one of the best of them, as far as left as you can get, okay? By the way, opposite of right is not left. Opposite of right is wrong. Okay. The news media in general are liberals, okay? Number 7, destroy people's faith in their leaders. Stalin is attributed with this statement. He said, "Those who cast the votes decide nothing. Those who count the votes decide everything." The last election ought to tell us something about that, right? Number 8, cause the registration of all firearms so that you can eventually confiscate them. Lenin said, "One person with a gun can control 100 people without one." Now picture this. You're standing there in the bank to cash a check. Somebody walks in and holds up a gun and says, "Everybody lay on the floor." Everybody lays on the floor. Now, picture this. Every red-blooded, honest, God-fearing American citizen is packing a gun. He's not looking for trouble. He just has a gun, just in case, you know. The guy walks into the bank, pulls out a gun. Everybody lay on the floor. Instantly, 80 guns are pointed at him. "No, sir, you lay on the floor." Gun control is not about guns, it's about control. Every dictator has wanted gun control. Lenin wanted it, Stalin wanted it, Hitler wanted it. See, the one who has the gun is in control, and this goes back to the "ye shall be as gods." You know, you are the boss. Goes right back to that, folks, okay? Don Boys, a good friend of mine, said gun control is not about guns, but control. Don said, "You might be a liberal if you don't trust honest Americans with automatic weapons, but you do trust the government with them. You might be a liberal if you think guns are the cause of crime, but you don't think matches are the cause of arson. You might be a liberal if you think death penalty is government-sanctioned killing, but you don't think a prison sentence is government-sanctioned kidnapping." I like this guy's thinking, okay? Our founding fathers gave us the Second Amendment, which says, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." They gave us a Second Amendment so we could protect ourselves in case the government went bad. That's what it's for. See, the bad guys are not afraid of a few hundred people with guns. But if everybody's armed, it's going to be hard to take over a country if they know everybody's armed. Now, I told you in the other session that a lot of animals that eat grass have horns. You don't need horns to eat grass. You need horns as an education tool to educate the lion to stay off your back so you can eat the grass. That's what the horns are for, right? If the lions held a conference to outlaw horns on animals, they said it was dangerous to allow these untrained animals to have such dangerous weapons. They cited several examples where some animals had been accidentally been harmed by horns. You know, I bet if the lions could vote, they would vote that nobody should be allowed to have horns, wouldn't they? I bet they would. That's what happened when the guys got shot in Colorado. Liberal news media right away jumped on the gun control issue, and we covered all that earlier. And the issue is not about guns, folks. The real issue is, should we have public schools, okay? Should we teach those kids evolution? And that's what happened in Colorado, okay? Hitler said, at least this is one quote I've not been able to prove, but I've had several folks tell me it's true, but I can't find it yet. He said, this year will go down in history. For the first time, a civilized nation had full gun registration. Our streets will be safer, our police more efficient, and the world will follow our lead into the future. Janet Reno said gun registration is not enough. Waiting periods are only a step. Registration is only a step. The prohibition of private firearms is the goal. Ohio Senator Metzenbaum said, what good does it do to ban some guns? All guns should be banned. Sarah Brady of the Brady Bill said, our task of creating a socialist America can only succeed when those who would resist have been totally disarmed. Bill Clinton said, and we should. Every community in the country could then start doing major weapons sweeps and then destroying the weapons, not selling them. And I misspelled his name on purpose to give it the Soviet flavor, okay? But you know, in the first 12 months after gun owners in Australia were forced to surrender 640,000 guns to the government, they destroyed them. The program cost the government $500 million. Well, after that happened, in the first 12 months, homicides nationwide were up 3.2%. Assaults went up 8.6%. Armed robberies went up 44%. In the state of Victoria, homicides with firearms are up 300%. Figures over the previous 25 years show a steady decrease in armed robbery with firearms. There's also been a dramatic increase in break-ins and assaults of the elderly. In 1911, Turkey established gun control. Later, 1.5 million Armenians, unable to defend themselves, were slaughtered. In 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control, and for the next 30 years, 20 million dissidents, unable to defend themselves, were rounded up and slaughtered. 1938, Nazi gun control said Jews are prohibited from carrying firearms and ammunition. They established gun control in 1938, and for the next 6 years, at least 13 million Jews and others were rounded up and exterminated because they were unable to defend themselves, okay? China established gun control in 1935, and for the next 10 years, 20 million political dissidents unable to defend themselves were exterminated. Guatemala established gun control in 1964. In the next 15 years, 100,000 Mayan Indians unable to defend themselves were exterminated, killed, murdered. Uganda established gun control in 1970. For the next 8 years, 300,000 Christians were murdered because they were unable to defend themselves. Cambodia established gun control in 1956, and from 75 to 77, 1 million educated people, maybe more, unable to defend themselves, were rounded up and exterminated. Defenseless people around the country, around the world, exterminated in the 20th century, about 56 million. Next time someone talks in favor of gun control, ask them, who do you want to round up and exterminate? See, with guns we are citizens, without guns we are subjects. Well said, Mr. Bracken. In 1982, the town of Kennesaw, Georgia, passed a law requiring all able adults, except convicts or conscientious objectors, to have a gun. You had to have a gun in Kennesaw, Georgia. They've had only one murder from an out-of-state criminal with a gun, and have had no increase in crime or violence in 12 years. I mean, if you're a criminal, you're going to go to a place like that? One of the major chains, like AutoZone, it wasn't AutoZone, but one of the major auto parts chains, the government, their leaders said, we're going to have a rule, no guns allowed in our stores. So they sent out a memo, everybody post a note on your store, no guns allowed. What does that say to a criminal? Rob me. Isn't that what it says? Do you think that criminal's going to obey your sign? I can see it now. He's standing there holding a gun on the counter, on the guy behind the counter. The guy says, hey, can't you read that sign out there? Hello? The plan is very simple. You create a crisis, like blow up the Reichstag, like Hitler did, or blow up the Muir building, like our government did, to get people to accept your solution, which is more anti-terrorist laws and gun control. And if you think Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma City building, you are really duped. Okay? A long story behind that. The communist definition of peace is the absence of resistance.
And it's sweet, sweet, sweet victory.